Welcome to Love for Life, the podcast for couples who want more than just to survive marriage, parenting, and life in general. We're here to help you build a relationship that lasts and a life that you actually love living.
We're Nichole and Ben, partners in life, in parenting, and in figuring all this out alongside you. Nichole is a relationship coach and author, and I'm the husband with way too much to say and a lot of first-hand experience.
Here we have the real conversations couples need to have about intimacy, conflict, kids, work, pressure, pleasure, and everything else in between, so you can stay connected and healthy throughout.
No fluff, no filters, just straight talking insights, relatable stories, and tools that actually work from a couple in the thick of it, just like you.
This is about having a love for life, for your partner, your family, and the life that you're creating together. So let's get into it. So in this week's episode, we're going to talk about quietly quitting your relationship, which is also known as the silent divorce. There was an article that came out in December in both The Guardian and The Independent, I believe it was, in which the author went into detail about what this concept of quietly quitting is and the fact that it's becoming more prevalent in today's society. And the definition, in case anyone wanted to know, was staying legally and practically married while emotionally exiting the relationship. So in other words, you become roommates managing logistics, or housemates, depending on whether you're having a sleep divorce as well, and not partners building a life.
Okay.
And the article goes on to explain why this is becoming more and more prevalent in modern marriages. And obviously it's quite apt for this time of year, given the fact that we are still in January, where we do tend to see the highest applications of, which obviously it being January, there is 16% more applications in Q1, so January through March, than any other part of the year. 16%
16, okay.
higher. Interestingly, it's much higher in opposite sex marriages rather than same sex marriages. So for opposite sex marriages, it's 800,000 versus 660 same sex divorces granted in England and Wales during the same period.
I suppose that's got to be relative for
the number of people
marriages and people that are in those relationships. So yeah, it could be that it seems like a lot less, but it might be.
I think still opposite sex marriages have a higher divorce rate than same sex marriages, with the exception, I think, of women. Certainly male marriages have a better success rate than heterosexual. So same sex marriage couples have a better success rate than heterosexual couples.
Yeah.
And the increase in January specifically, the uptake is about 30% in divorce inquiries.
Wow.
Yeah. But they're for the ones who are actively choosing to get divorced. And they're the ones who are saying, like, I'm unhappy, I'm out of here, right? But what we're saying is, and what this article was talking about in December, was the fact that actually there's so many more who are not getting out of there, that they're staying in the marriage, but they've quit anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're like, on the surface and functionally, they are still married, but other than the ring on the finger and the piece of paper, they're living separate lives. And
yes.
Right. Okay.
So, and the reasons for staying married, because many people are probably sitting here going, well, if you're unhappy, you just get out, right? But it's not as simple as that, especially in the day and age that we live in, with the cost of living, etc. So people stay together for children, people stay together for financial reasons, people stay together for social standing. There's lots of drivers as to why they don't want to get divorced. However, from an emotional perspective, from that emotional connection, you have divorced your partner emotionally. You're no longer invested in nurturing the romantic part of the relationship. So the way I see relationships is it's made up of three parts, and marriage is made up of three parts. You've got your what?
No, I know what's coming.
Oh, so you've got your friendship. That's one element. You've got your romantic relationship, and then you have your business relationship. So your friendship is very much, it's being able to enjoy each other's company. It's being able to laugh together. It's being able to sort of still admire one another. It's respect. It's appreciation for the other person. That's your friendship. Your romantic relationship is your connection. It's your intimacy. It's your emotional availability. It's your emotional security. It's desire. It's sex. It's intimacy. It's romantic. It's what you don't do with friends. Um,
Yeah.
and it's more than friends with benefits. It's like that emotional connection.
It's the deeper.
Before somebody says, well, actually, you can do that with some friends. Like, no, it's more than just sex. It's that emotional connection that goes beyond a friendship, because you have an emotional connection with a friend, but it's, and it's platonic. It's not platonic. It's anything but platonic. And then there's the business side of the relationship, and that's the money, the home, the finances, the kids, work, whatever. It's it's co-parenting, it's managing household bills, it's division of labour, it's all that stuff. Okay?
Yeah, admin.
Yeah, the life admin. And the practical side, I guess, of achieving goals and things like that, and financial security. So again, you've got security in that. You have security in all of them, really. The point is that obviously if you're very happy, then you're managing all three and it's all delightful. But for some, the romance dies and they're still friends. They still admire one another. They still appreciate one another as an individual, as a person. They still find each other funny and enjoy each other's company, but they don't have sex anymore. That's maybe a sexless marriage. Or that's potentially that couple that divorces but managed to be amicable through the divorce and still remain friends and go, actually, our relationship just evolved into a friendship. And we released each other from the romantic side of things. You know, if you look at alternative relationships, there are perhaps couples who give permission to have an open relationship or swing or go polyamorous or whatever. Then those who are in the business, like really good at managing the business, the romance side of things, but they're broke or they're arguing about money or they're passionate but fight all the time. They have a connection, but they don't seem to get the shit together and everything, other kind of elements of life. And then you've got those who are kind of really great at managing the business side of things. They're really great co-parents. You know, they both potentially they have a lovely life on the outside. It looks all rosy and they've got it all together and they've got the house and they've got the children and they've got the career and they go on holidays together and whatever. But actually, if you were a fly on the wall, you'd realise that perhaps when behind closed doors, it's not that rosy. There's no emotional connection there. There's no romance. They have separate lives outside of the marriage. It's very functional, but it's not emotionally fulfilling. And, you know, potentially you can have business and friendship. Great. Sometimes you just got business and he's like, I don't even necessarily have that much in common with this person anymore, except the fact that we share a house and we have kids or whatever. But equally, I enjoy the lifestyle that we have built together and I don't want to shatter the illusion of that, or I don't want to impact the children in that way, or I don't want to lose my social circle, or I don't want to be financially, you know, worse off. But I'm done trying. I'm not emotionally connected or physically connected to this person anymore. And in some cases, I'm not even really friends with them. They're just a housemate, I guess. Those are the ones that this article was talking about that are quietly quitting, that are going, I'm not ready to lose my house or my kids or whatever.
They're losing 2 out of the 3, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think if you, again, like, you'll have ups and downs and you might find that at one stage your romantic relationship's taken a bit of a back seat. Or another time it might be that the friendship's taken a back seat. But I think if you've lost 1 or 2 of them for a prolonged period of time, then that's when that's what I'd probably say is deemed as quietly quitting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'd say of the 3, the most common, the last one to go is usually the business.
Yeah.
So I'd say the first one to go is perhaps the romance, then the friendship, and then the business. Typically, that's the kind of order in which they diminish. And it's not big things, it's death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. The thing is as well, like people losing it's interesting, I think, that the relation, like that sexual side of the relationship and the intimacy is the first thing to be lost. When you look at it as you love someone, you'd like fight for them and whatever. I'd rather lose the house and all of that rubbish before I'd lost the love, you know, and the intimacy. But it is the way things go. You prioritise that last. It's just it's like an unfortunate, like, natural fact, isn't it? Because you think everything hinges on, have I got time for that? Whereas you think, I've got to run the house, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And the last thing on your mind is potentially cuddling up with the other person and having that security there, or going, right, I'm stressed out my mind with this, that and the other, but let's go and get in bed together and have a session. I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. So I do think that I understand why it's the first thing to go, because it's almost seen as a luxury. It's not seen as a necessity, which I think is a problem and does need to change.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is, though, in order to be in the right frame of mind for that, you need to not be thinking about other things and being stressed and create the right environment to have that.
Yeah, I can understand that. But for some people, I think they need that almost, I don't know how to describe it, whether it's strength through the connection or the clarity through knowing that, very crass, blue balls. I know of people that have used it as a distraction, or they use it as a coping mechanism, like the intimacy side of things, because they want that connection with someone, and then that means that if they're connected to that other person, they feel everything else is okay, and they can work through stuff, and it's all manageable. Whereas if you think like you feel like you're not loved, you're not wanted, you're not appreciated, you're not desirable, your self-esteem's through the floor, and then you feel like you can't do your work, you can't do the managing of things, you're shit at chores, and you'll just constantly be, your self-esteem tanks, and then everything else will just get on top of you, you know. So it depends on the person.
So you're saying it makes you question yourself in every other aspect of life?
Yeah, I think you can do. Connection and love is very, very powerful, and it can make people feel like they're like untouchable and on top of the world, and like everything's going like was it this Lonely Island's done a song called "I Just Had Sex," and he's like walking around like Billy Big Bollocks because he's just got laid. So I think that there is an element of, you've got that intimacy with someone, and you know you're loved, and you know that you're appreciated and you're desired, and it, all of a sudden it's, I can take on the world today. Whereas if you don't feel that, it's another thing.
Yeah, but I would also say that, and I do think it's different for men and women. Women struggle to come into that situation and let themselves go if they are stressing about other things, and it's very difficult to switch off. And
interesting to hear.
And it doesn't fix everything, and it can be the last thing from your mind at times of stress or feeling that disconnection. And as we've always said, this, connection comes outside the bedroom. It's not just about sex either. Yes. And you're right, when you feel like you're in it together and you can achieve more together, you absolutely can. The research speaks for itself. You're 6 times healthier and wealthier if your relationship's really strong and you feel like you're a team with someone, and that you're doing this together, and that it's not all on your shoulders and you're not on your own, 100%. And part of that is that connection. And you're right, the romantic side of relationships tend to go when they come under strain of everything else. Or it can be that actually, like, they can be romantic, but in between, if you feel like you don't really have much of a friendship, and it's like, yeah, we still have, sex, and it's great when we do, but in between, I feel like I'm not appreciated, or we don't do things together, or I'm not listened to, or I don't feel seen or heard, then that's not going to make you, again, that's going to then have an impact on the romantic side of the relationship. So it's all three. But yeah, the thing that people tend to keep going and prioritize, is you're quite right, is the almost keeping the lights on. It's the house and the kids and the career and everything else that distracts us from the thing that is probably making us the most unhappy, and could, if you put the effort and the time in, make you the happiest and make the biggest difference across the board. The other thing I would say as well is, particularly if you do have children, then staying together for kids, to me, is totally counterintuitive, because all you're teaching them, they're looking to you to role model what does a marriage look like, and if this is what your children grow up thinking is normal, then that's what they will accept. And I think that's the other slippery slope with this quiet quitting, is that you lower your standards and you lower your expectations, and then they don't meet those, you lower them a bit more. And then they don't meet those, so you lower them a bit more. And then before you know it, it's not only your self-esteem that's through the floor, but just
what you're willing to accept.
What you're willing to accept and what you're willing to go, no, this isn't on. This isn't what I signed up to. We made vows and we agreed to put the effort in and do life together. And this isn't it for me. We need to work on this. And rather than fixing it, you just go, I'll just accept it for what it is. And I'll just create my own life outside of this marriage that makes me happy, because inside doesn't. It just meets the purpose of keeping a roof over my head and my children together, but it doesn't meet any other purpose.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I always come back to this. It's such a modern problem, because years ago that was marriage. That's what was normal. That is what was okay. And now it's like, it's not what we want, and it's not what we've been sold in the movies. Or even Jane Austen, was marrying for love. Those romantic novels that have been around for decades. And then we've built this expectation. We've gone, okay, well, this is what we want. And then we've now gone full circle to just accepting, well, I might not have that, but oh well.
Yeah. It's better than
what
nothing.
do we fight for?
Yeah.
And I get it. It's not easy, especially, as I said, time of the current climate, cost of living, children being split across homes. There's been so much research into the impact of children of divorce. I can see why people are put off from doing it, but I just don't know whether staying is really helping anyone, because it's just making you really isolated. And
I mean, we've got a friend that's divorced and still lives with their ex-partner.
Oh yes.
So,
But that's not out of choice. That's out of financial necessity.
Yeah, but this is what we're saying. There are points of it where you like may well still be living together, but
I mean, that's
becoming a necessity now for people.
Yeah, and I suppose actually there is nesting now where, well done. I'm seeing more nesting now where couples are separating, but they're not telling the children, or that they are moving out while the other one looks after. So the children stay in the house and they just move in and out for whoever's having the children, or they're separated and they haven't told the children yet because they haven't figured out the next steps to actually separating in terms of living situation. And
I've never heard of that term before.
What, nesting? Yeah, so the children stay in the house, and then the parents who've separated, when it's dad's time, dad's in the house, and then when it's mum's time, they swap, and he moves out, and they have a second place that they go to, and they just keep swapping. So whoever's...
Oh, so they buy a second home together again?
Or rent.
And then it means that they've, so they're sharing the burden as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is...
I guess people have to get creative. So here are the...
Unless you're the chancellor.
Oh, well. We don't discuss politics on this podcast.
Don't do politics, Ben.
No. So here are some red flags for if you have quietly quit your relationship. So you feel relief when they're not around.
Do you feel relief when I'm not around?
I mean, sometimes, but not enough.
Yeah, times is okay. Sometimes is acceptable. Sometimes you want to have a bit of peace and quiet.
Yeah, definitely.
You've got to have and this is the thing, this is not a case of if you're not in each other's pockets, because you need to have your own autonomy as well. You need to have your own personality and retain your individuality. Mm-hmm. So again, when you're not around, you can feel relief when the other person's not around. Just don't celebrate it.
If it's a consistent, I'd rather not be with them. You no longer care about their wins or their losses.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Because if someone comes in and you're like, and they've done well at work, and you're like, great, oh, good for you. That's the turning towards versus the turning away. Gottman's, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's friendship right there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, because if my friend's doing well, I'm excited for them. I'm like, get in, good job. But if you can't be that with the person you are choosing to spend your life with, then that's a solid
big red flag.
Big red flag.
You're fantasizing about being single, not necessarily about other people, just single. So you're craving, I guess, freedom.
Being alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're craving being alone, I'd say that's a pretty good red flag. Again, you can it's not fantasizing being alone, but you can spend time alone. If that makes sense. Like for me, it's my going camping, and I go camping on my own completely. I love it because it's just quiet.
Not this time of year, it's bloody freezing.
Well, I did it last year, didn't I? I went out in February, and that was a big mistake.
Yeah.
Don't sleep in a hammock in February at minus 3 or 4 degrees.
I mean, I could have told you that, Ben. Really.
I just wanted to try it. I watch a guy who lives in Alaska and camps in the snow, and I was like, I can bravey Sussex in February.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you?
Struggled.
Yeah.
I didn't have a fire though, to be fair. So I didn't have a fire and I didn't have the right equipment. I needed an additional blanket.
You're feeling emotionally safer with friends or co-workers more than your spouse.
Yeah. That's deep.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's actually a really common.
Yeah. And as well, like you said before, there's professions where people almost like trauma bond as well.
Yeah.
And so you feel like you can share everything with that person. So yeah, I think as well, like, I know that people talk in, I've never worked in an office, so I don't know what it's like when you've got a whole bunch of people all together. But
Well, it depends on the office and the people really, but you can get people who, I've had work situations before where I've met really great friends through work. It really varies from one to the other. And you stop sharing your feelings.
yeah, the moment you can't tell the other person how you're feeling in the moment.
Yeah, that'd be the quiet bit. So behavioural red flags.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, would be avoiding shared plans. So choosing to do things on your own. Physical intimacy has disappeared and you don't miss it. Yeah.
Oh man, I can't imagine that.
Well,
I get that some people, again, I understand some people don't like.
You don't miss it with your partner.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where you're imagining it with other people. You're spending increasing time anywhere but home. So working late, gym, scrolling, separate hobbies, that sort of thing.
God fucking hell. Me at home scrolling on my phone, go out camping on my own.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to tell me?
Yeah,
All you need is a gym membership and you're away.
that's it. I've got the fire brigade.
Yeah, cheers, Ben. Organising life around not engaging with your partner. So you're organising stuff to avoid having to bring them along, basically.
Right.
And you've stopped initiating conversations beyond logistics. You don't actually have a proper conversation with them. So you don't talk about like
The weather.
I mean, like maybe you know what's going on in your day or things you've observed or how you're feeling or things that you like, dislike, want to do, whatever. Like they're not fulfilling conversations. It's just
The surface level.
Have you fed the dog? Do the kids have football training this week? I don't know. Like it's logistics. Did you put the bins out? Then sort of more internal ones that only you would be able to know is planning a future that does not include them. You've stopped trying to fix things. You've rehearsed leaving.
People do that?
Yeah. God, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you do that first time around?
Yeah.
Was it like stood in front of the mirror going?
No, not in that regard. Like, as in like cognitively rehearsed leaving. So like you think about how to leave and the logistics of leaving.
It's like hard work.
So you think about, you're calculating the finances, like you're figuring out the housing, you're thinking about like custody mentally, like you're mentally kind of figuring it out, like how to leave. You don't just leave, you think about it first. People, this doesn't come out of the blue. People have been unhappy for a while and they've thought about leaving before they leave. They don't get up one day and go. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Okay.
Ever.
All right. I don't know, so.
Just know that if I ever leave you, I've thought about it for a long time for.
Sweet, thanks. Salt wound. She's left me. Oh, she told me. She'd have thought about it for ages.
And then you describing yourself as already gone, even though you're still
already single.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're the kind of the red flags. So if any of those are coming and you're kind of ticking off going, oh dear, that's me.
Yeah,
oh, that's me.
Shit. Hang on a minute. Actively doing this.
Well, that's, there's some of the red flags to look out for, kind of if you are quietly quitting. And, there are some gender differences as we've just...
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about like one of them being like hobbies. I disagree with that. Like if they're spending a lot of time doing their hobbies or like at the gym or whatever, like you said. So it depends. If someone's like not happy with themselves and then they decide, look, I'm going to put the effort in here.
Yeah, no, that's different. So the The red flag was if you're like filling your time with everything out to keep you out of the house.
Yeah.
So you're deliberately finding hobbies to keep you away from your partner because you don't want to spend time with them. If your
Like,
reason for going to do the hobbies is because you enjoy them and you've always done them, or like, but there's a balance between doing that and then spending time together, and you've discussed it and you've got room for that in your life, you know, and it's something that you've agreed to accommodate. That's very different to you actively looking for things to do outside of the house, away from your partner, just to avoid them.
Yeah.
It's the intent, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. That's the exact word to use. It's intent. It's you want to be out of the house for as much as possible, versus it's just a case of it's the hobby you do and that takes you out of the house.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel better about myself now.
Okay, good. So there are some differences as well between how men and women quietly quit and how they kind of withdraw, I guess. Women notice emotional disconnection a lot earlier than men do. They tend to initiate more conversations about problems. So 86% of issues are raised by the woman in the relationship rather than the man. I
don't doubt that at all.
Yeah. And so they try to resolve it quite early. But I think once it gets to a certain point where they feel like they're just hitting their head against a brick wall, they're also the ones who initiate divorce more often. So more divorces, 67% of divorces initiated now by women because they've tried to resolve the issue or to raise it and got nowhere. Men, on the other hand, are more likely to withdraw from emotional confrontation, and they are more likely to avoid difficult discussions and can accelerate the feeling of being abandoned or zombied in a relationship. So when you take the differences into account as well, and the way that men and women naturally, and I'm not saying all men and women, there's always exceptions to the rule, but on the whole, the way that we approach issues, the way that we raise issues, the way that we resolve issues is different. And that comes back to, that good old book, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, whatever it was. Like, we are just different creatures.
Yeah.
And how we handle things is different. And so that can be a bit misaligned, which doesn't help. The most common dynamic is she raises issues repeatedly. He minimizes or withdraws repeatedly. She exhausts herself trying. She quietly quits. And he finally notices when she's already gone and it's too late. Like, that's the most common dynamic, which is why so many divorces initiated by women, and why, I don't actually have the stat on this, but I suspect when you look at quietly quitting in relationships, I would put money on the fact it'll be the women that are quietly quitting and going, financially, maybe I've taken a back seat with my career to have the children. I'm not in a position financially to leave, or I don't want to leave, but I don't really want to spend any time with him either. So I'm just going to withdraw and do my own thing.
Yeah.
And he gets used to doing his own thing, and before you know it, the marriage is basically over.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people that have all of a sudden had new leases on life and are then like gone from. It's a tough one because you shouldn't lose friends when get into a relationship, but inevitably it does happen. I think a lot of people lose touch or feel like they're not being prioritised, so then they don't make the effort, and then it sort of it's backwards and forwards. But then all of a sudden, obviously, going out, finding new friends, finding new hobbies, and like you say, having that rejuvenation. If you're in a relationship with someone and then all of a sudden that's happened, then you might well look at it and go, hang on a minute, what's going on? I mean, that's why all the men are worried about the personal trainers. Because all of a sudden it's like personal improvement, new person, like who are you trying to impress? Right. So yeah, I think like all of those cliches and stuff, they do ring some truths in them.
If you have nodded along and gone, oh shit.
Oh dear.
That's me.
If you're listening to this and then going like, that's my husband, that's my wife.
Then, or that's me.
Or that's me,
Yeah. Then before it's too late, I would urge you to have a conversation to see if you can repair and get it back on track. Because no one's winning in a quiet divorce either. Yeah,
that's again a really good point. You may well both still have a want there, but you're just not communicating it.
Well, I don't know. I think the point is that there is no want.
But it might be a small thing that's blocking it, or it might be a case of just a bit of reconnection is needed. Conversation, yeah, comms.
Yeah, but I think there has to be a willingness from both sides to actually do something about it, which, coming back to last week's episode about, you have to both want to put the work in and both want to make it better and both be willing to have the conversation. It might be the first conversation you had in years. And I get that if you got to this point, it could be because you feel like you've tried that and it didn't work.
Very true.
But then also we have a tendency to focus on what doesn't work and then view our relationship through the lens of, I don't even know why we're together. Like we were incompatible from the start. And actually, when you go back and look at the history of your relationship or look at how you've repaired in the past, you remember things about your relationship or remember things about each other that actually you can get through this stuff. And you've just lost your way a little bit along the way. But actually, what about the successful things that you've overcome together? Because there will be some. But I think you have to call it out. You have to say it out loud and say, I think we've been quietly quitting on each other. I feel like we're more like roommates and partners, or, I feel invisible, however it is you want to word it. But I think you got to initiate the conversation. And then something that I think really helps, and it helped me, is you need to time box or time bound working on it. I think you say, like, we're going to really put the effort in the next 6 months and see if we can improve things. And then we're going to review then and kind of have like a period of time where you're going to then review like the effort that you've both been doing, because otherwise it just feels like a never ending stretch in front of you. And I think it's helpful to just go like, I'm going to give it 6 months. But if you're going to do that, you have to actually put the effort in and give it the 6 months, not quit after 3 and then go, oh, well, you didn't put the work in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Obviously, if you've got one person that's like feeling, you both, like you've said before and on other episodes, you're both not going to be at the same point at exactly the same time. So if you've got one person that's like recognised it, raised it, and is now going like, we need to do something about this, I think you need to make sure that the other person is definitely on board and willing. Because if they're just sort of going, I'll just humour them for now and just see how we go.
Yeah, paying lip service.
Technically, you may well be putting the effort in, you may well be doing what you said you'd do, and the other person might well be rolling along with it as well, but they're already checked out,
But actually that in itself, sometimes though, even that, if you've given it 6 months and you're like, you can honestly say, I'm really trying and I know the other person just isn't, then that gave you the answer.
Yeah.
And it might not be the one you want, but once you know what it is, like you can deal where you stand and if you can deal with it. And maybe you renegotiate the terms of your marriage. Maybe you go, look, actually we can rebuild our friendship, or we can manage life together, but we're going to have an evaluation about what it means to meet each other's emotional needs, and whether that's within the marriage or outside the marriage, or whatever works for you. There is not a one size fits all, but you're not going to know that unless you have the conversation.
Yeah.
Or you free yourselves from the fact that actually, okay, yeah, we look like we've got it together, but it doesn't feel like that. And is it making us happy? And if it's not, then don't stay together for the kids or the house. Yeah. Your happiness is worth more, and your kids' happiness is worth more, because ultimately you want them to leave your home and go and find someone. And, actually, if in years to come, your son or daughter was sat in front of you and telling you how they felt in their marriage and it was how you're feeling now, would you want them to stay?
Yeah. If you wouldn't want it for your child, then don't accept it for yourself.
No, because all you're teaching them is that that's what's normal. Yeah. And that's what they can expect to.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We're slowly rolling through January, getting ourselves ready to get out of hibernation, I think, as well, and I'll get rid of the woolly jumpers. I'm itching a bit. But thank you, everybody, for listening. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and we shall see you all again next week.